وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. We continue with Kitaab At-Tawheed, 7:17 p.m. Sunday, October the 6th, 2019, which agrees on this blessed night, inshaAllah, of the 8th night of Safar, the year 1441, after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. As we continue, or rather we finish, the chapter of As-Sihr, after the great Imam al-Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, that he put this in the book of Kitaab At-Tawheed, clarifying that the practice of magic is from the affairs that will taint one's monotheism. That it would taint one's monotheism, as all of us are in this dunya putting forth our best effort into actualizing La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And that's all we're doing in these days that are left in our lives, that we're trying to actualize that affair by purifying it from anything that taints it. And in order to actualize something, one has to have knowledge of it and embark upon those affairs that validates it, and abstain and put himself far away from those affairs that will invalidate it. As you'll find in this tremendous treatise of the great Imam, that he mentioned the affairs of what will taint La ilaha illallah, not only just taint it, rather that which will invalidate it and nullify it. And he did that in giving tremendous details. The details of what taint La ilaha illallah, or even render it null and void, is from the affairs of magic. As we said, Bab ma ja'a fi sihr, the chapter which comes in magic, and the different types of ahkam in regards to it, which is from the jurisdiction or the power of the leader or the ruler of a particular land or country, meaning the Muslim ruler. As we finalize that chapter, we finish. Now you'll find that the great Imam, rahimahullah, may Allah ta'ala raise his level and his reward, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, after he put this in his book of Kitaab At-Tawheed, then he went on to another affair of explaining magic. And magic is not just simply in regards to affairs in which some of us might realize or some of us might think, but rather it's in other matters which are connected to it, in which certain people, rather, you'll find that some of the Muslims fall into to this present day. From the chapter where we concluded, Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, we spoke on generally about magic and its rulings. Now we will speak about the different types of magic. As you'll find that he also entitled another chapter which comes directly after the one we finish, Bab Bayan Shay' min Anwa'i Sihr, the chapter which comes in clarifying some of the types of magic. The chapter which comes in some of the types of magic. For some of the types of magic, oh man, I forgot this one. I totally forgot. In regards to why, you'll find that he put this in a chapter because it's connected to what comes before it. As you'll find in Kitaab At-Tawheed, you'll find that everything is in a sequence, meaning everything is tied in together, one after the other. And after he entitled this chapter about magic, he started clarifying the different types, which shows clearly how this chapter is connected to the one that we just finished. For not only is it incumbent upon one, especially when he's embarking upon teaching and cultivating people, know for sure from the way of Ahl Sunnah and the people of Hadith and the people who traverse the blessed path of the Salaf, who are the Salafiyun, not only do they clarify the good, or they clarify Tawheed, and that's it. As you'll find that there are people out there from the callers who say, just talk about what is correct, or speak about Tawheed, but don't speak about negative matters such as shirk or polytheism. Talk about the sunnah, but don't warn the people or speak about bid'ah. Do not talk about those matters. As we know that this type of methodology not only opposes the methodology of the Prophet ﷺ himself, rather it opposes the methodology of all the prophets. It opposes the methodology of all the prophets. There is no victory, any type of methodology that opposes the methodology of the prophets. All of it is subjected to failure. And it will make the society, rather they will digress and they will not progress whatsoever. Rather, things will become worse. And you'll see how society will plunge in a state of tremendous evil. Especially as we talked about in the class in which Ibn al-Qayyim and also Shaykh al-Islam says that people come in opposing the methodology of prophets, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the punishment for those who embrace the ideologies of bid'ah from the ways of Jahm ibn Safwan, and before him was Ja'd ibn Dirham. That when the people started embracing their ideologies, Allah sent the punishment upon the Khilafah al-Amawiyyah, of the Caliphate, or the kingdom of, or the Khilafah of al-Amawiyyah, that was destroyed and decimated due to them embracing ideologies that opposed the way of the prophets and messengers. For example, the belief of Ja'd ibn Dirham, believing that Allah is not above the Arsh, Allah is not above the heavens, or He's not above the throne. When the people started embracing those type of ways or those type of beliefs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them. And you'll notice the statement that Shaykh al-Islam said at the end of the statement. He says, انتقم الله للأنبياء وانتصر لهم. أو ينتقم الله من خالف الأنبياء وانتصر لهم. That Allah will take retribution from those who oppose the way of the prophets, and Allah will grant victory for the prophets and messengers. So any way that opposes the way of the prophets and the messengers, which from the ways that opposes the prophets and messengers is neglecting teaching the people what evil is. Not just teaching them good, but teaching them what the evil is so they can abstain and avoid it. As that is incumbent upon any cultivator who truly wants good for the people. He just doesn't teach them Tawheed, and that's it. He teaches them what goes against it. As we know that this is from the meaning of the poetry, where he said, الضد يظهر حسنه ضده وبضدها تتميز الأشياء. That the opposite of something which reveals its beauty is what opposes it, meaning its opposite. And by opposites, things become distinct and clear. By opposites, things become distinct and clear. As the poet says, لأن الضد يظهر حسنه ضده وبضدها تتميز الأشياء. So that's the reason why you'll find that the great Imam, that he clarified what magic is. Because magic is from those affairs that opposes Tawheed and monotheism and unification of Allah in His worship. And he also teaches the details of it, clarifying the batil, clarifying the falsehood and its types, so that the people of the truth can be upon insight of what they're upon, and they can abstain from falsehood upon insight. So we just don't avoid falsehood by saying it. We teach it so we can know how to be, or how to avoid it based upon insight, and based upon knowledge. So this is what's incumbent upon everyone, especially in the masajid and those who are able to teach and have the ability. This is how we clarify to the people, and this is our methodology. We teach the good and we teach the evil. Not for the people to do it but to the people to know what it is so they can avoid it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Not for them to do it or commit it, but however to know what the evil is so they can avoid it. You'll find in this particular chapter, as we affirm that magic exists and that it does have an effect on people, especially what takes place at the hands of those who are its practitioners, from the magicians. For you'll find that they're from them that will give illusions, such as walking upon water, or people floating in the air, or they're just merely lying, based upon film or different types of tricks that they play, as far as in images and videos to the end of it. And as we know, all of it is prohibited. Or, for example, that them bringing something very far instantly, quickly, in the blink of an eye. All these, no doubt, are considered what they call khawariq, from affairs that are so-called, for lack of a better word, supernatural. Khawariq. However, those khawariq, so-called supernatural, if they take place upon the hands of those who opposes the prophets and the messengers, then we know that they're from the awliya ash-shaytan. We know they're from the friends or those who are close to shaitan. If these type of supernatural or supernatural affairs take place at the hands of those who are opposing the prophets and the messengers, with them being upon false ideologies and beliefs, and they're not upon the monotheism of Allah, and they're not upon the sunnah. Because those who are upon the monotheism of Allah and the sunnah first would never partake in magic. That's number one. Number two, that we know that if these affairs take place upon someone who's evil, meaning they're not upon what's correct in their belief, nor in their methodology, as we said, they are from the awliya of shaitan. They are from the friends of shaitan. As Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah wrote a tremendous treatise entitled Al-Furqan Bayna Awliya al-Rahman wa Awliya al-Shaytan. He said the criteria between the Awliya al-Rahman, in the friends or those who are close to Allah, or the friends of those who are close to the shaitan. And he mentioned from them who we're talking about now. Those who are the friends of shaitan are from these people, who are the sahara, who are the magicians. As the magicians are from those who are the awliya of shaitan. They are from the friends of those who are close to shaitan. And if they are upon a methodology or creed that is in opposition to the prophets and messengers, then like we said, they are the ones who we've now say without a shadow of a doubt, they're from the awliya shaitan, and they're exactly what Imam al-Shafi'i said about them in his poetry. What Imam al-Shafi'i said in his poetry, إِذَا رَأَيْتَ الرَّجُلَ يَطِيرُ فَوْقَ مَاءِ الْبَحْرِ يَسِيرُ وَلَمْ يَقِفْ عِنْدَ حُدُودِ الشَّرْعِ فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ مُسْتَدْرَجٌ بِدْعِ. As Imam al-Shafi'i said in tremendous poetry, he said, if you see a man floating above water, إِذَا رَأَيْتَ الرَّجُلَ يَطِيرُ, if you see a man flying in the air, and that's what these magicians, that's what they portray, that's what they do. إِذَا رَأَيْتَ الرَّجُلَ يَطِيرُ, you see a man flying in the air, فَوْقَ مَاءِ الْبَحْرِ يَسِيرُ, that he's now hovering above water or walking above water. وَلَمْ يَقِفْ عِنْدَ حُدُودِ الشَّرْعِ فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ مُسْتَدْرَجٌ بِدْعِ. And if you do not see him stopping at the boundaries of the Kitaab and Sunnah, meaning he's upon what's correct in his belief and in his methodology, know that he's a person that's mustadrajun bid'i. Know that he is a person that Allah is setting him up for a trap, and he is upon something innovative. So that's to let us know that from the awliya of shaitan, this is their characteristics. Those who partake in magic, because they did not stop at the boundaries that Allah has set in His noble book and in the sunnah of His messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. And when a person transgresses those boundaries and they now see these type of so-called supernatural affairs taking place at their hands, we know that they're the awliya ash-shaytan. They are the friends of the devil. However, we know that the khawariq of those who are supernatural, what we see, can happen at the hands of the righteous, as it's happened at the hands of the righteous of those in the past, and which we'll talk about, and which Shaykh al-Islam put in his book called Al-Aqidat al-Wasitiyah, where he has a chapter which is called Karamat al-Awliya. Karamat al-Awliya, meaning karama, or some type of affair that takes place, which is not ordinary, that takes place at the hands of the righteous. And then he mentions their characteristics, and he mentions their creed and their belief. And he starts to give examples of what happened in the past with the Sahaba and other than them. From them, from the Tabi'een, what happened at the hands of them, which was considered from the Khawariq Adat, or Khariq Lil-Ada, from those supernatural affairs, or those affairs that are not ordinary, that took place at the hands of the righteous. But they did not do it in order to impress the people. They did it of something out of a need, or something out of which is considered aid from Allah. They did not do it in order so-called to razzle-dazzle the people. For example, you'll find from the Sahaba, when they had to cross the river to another land in order to complete their mission, which was to what? To set out in battle. It was a need. It wasn't to impress anyone. It was a need in which, when they made dua, of course, the one who made dua, and then all of a sudden you will find that they were walking and treading a path across what? Across water, without a boat. When they traversed upon the water until they crossed it to the other side of the land, notice that it took place in order to what? Because it was a need in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave aid to His awliya for them to complete their mission, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's word can be the utmost in the earth. And it wasn't to impress the people or razzle-dazzle the people or trick the people or deceive the people in order to win some type of praise, or in order to gain or eat their wealth in falsehood. As you'll find that the majorities of magicians, that's what they do. To razzle or impress the people in order to eat their wealth in falsehood. For you'll find that the great Imam Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, that he put in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, he said, notice that what took place at the hands of the Tabi'een. This wasn't even at the hands, you'll find, of the Prophet ﷺ, but rather it took at the hands of those who followed the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, where they traversed above water, where that was considered something greater than the miracle of Nuh, that took place at the hands of the followers of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. For verily what took place in the time of Nuh was tremendous, when the water had flooded the earth. And we know what took place, which is a tremendous affair of how Allah Ta'ala saved the creation, in which the Nuh, or the ark of Nuh, or the boat of Nuh was built. As we know that the Prophet ﷺ came with something either similar to what every prophet was given, or better, or something more in depth or greater. For verily Nuh was given the boat. However, by the barakah, by the blessing of following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, his followers were giving something better than Nuh. And it didn't even take place at the time of the Sahaba, you'll find. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, excuse me. Rather, you'll find that it took place at the hands of some of those who are from the awliya of Allah, from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. From the barakah of following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, where they made that dua and they traversed above water. And it was something of a need in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted victory to His awliya, due to them following and clinging to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted them victory, of course, and allowed what they call karama, Karama. It's not a mu'jiza. A karama, which was something which Allah bestowed of some type of honor upon one who was righteous. And it was considered something out of the ordinary, to give aid to them and to confirm what they were upon was the truth. Notice, like we said, this happened at the hands of someone who came after the message of Allah, which was better than the miracle of Nuh. Because what is, like we said, in the mind of the people, of what we perceive as correct, is that a boat has to be filled in order for people to sail and traverse above the what? Above the water. There has to be something that one has to build in order for them to set out in their travels in the sea. What is more bewildering and what's unexpected from the human mind is what? That someone will walk above it. That's out of the human mind. That's the reason why we said that the miracle what happened with the tabi'een. And some of the tabi'een, when they walked above water, was greater than the miracle of Nuh. It was more in depth. So the Prophet ﷺ was given something of every miracle of every prophet. Something similar or better. To let you know how high of a level and the great level he was upon, alayhi salatu wasalam. And he was the greatest of all prophets and messengers. But however, with the condition for one to attain this type of level, he has to be upon the monotheism of Allah and far away from magic and the practice of it and being upon what's correct and then being sound in their creed and belief. So the different types of magic, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, in which we'll talk about and discuss if we have time to speak about al-Aqidat al-Wasitiyya by Shaykh al-Islam, where he has a whole chapter speaking about this. If you look in the chapter, it says, قال الإمام أحمد قال حدثنا محمد بن جعفر بشار قال حدثنا محمد بن بشار قال حدثنا عوف قال حدثنا حيان بن العلاء قال حدثنا قطن بن قبيصة عن أبيه أنه سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن العيافة والطرق والطيرة من الجبت. طيب, as we talked about last class, we said that magic linguistically means everything that the reason for it being there is hidden. It's hidden. It's concealed. So a person does not able to what? Know the reason behind it, why it's doing it. Similar to illusionary magic. A lot of people, when they see it, they don't know it's something else of the reason why it's what? Why it's taking place. It's hidden from the people. The people don't see the reason or the cause of why it's done or it's being done. That's why it's called sihr. We talked about this last class. We said everything, as they say, خَفِيَ سَبَبُهُ فِي إِدْرَاكِهِ حَتَّى عِنْدَ الْفَخْرِ الرَّازِي, to the end of it. That everything that the reason for it happening or taking place, it is hidden. Are you writing this down? Everything that is hidden or taking place, that the reason behind it is hidden. The reason behind it is hidden. Everything in which you'll find that the reason behind it is hidden. The reason behind it is hidden. Khafiya sabab. That the reason behind it is hidden, concealed. And it's hard for the people to what? To now come to the realization of why it's happening. They don't see it at first because it's hidden. Then you find out, exposed, looking for the reason why it happened, and then you understand why. Oh, okay. It was trickery. It was illusion. A lot of people think in their minds that magic is pertaining to voodoo, or they're pertaining to black magic. And a lot of people in their minds think that it's just restricted to these matters, or what we see of what magicians practice, of the different types of satanic things, that they will show to the people, and that's it. Here in this, and what we're going to explain now, gives a little bit more details of another type of magic in which some people are unaware that it is magic. And that's in this particular narration, or in this narration here, on the authority of قال الإمام أحمد قال حدثنا محمد بن جعفر. Oh man, where's Muhammad bin Ja'far? Let me excuse me, everyone. This is Gundar. I'm sorry, everyone. Muhammad bin Ja'far. Muhammad bin Ja'far is a very famous narrator in hadith that you should know. And he's from the Rijal al-Sahihain, Bukhari Muslim. If you study the Asanid, his name is mentioned a lot. His name is Muhammad ibn Ja'far. He's from the narrators of Bukhari and Muslim, and other than Al-Imam of Bukhari and Muslim, other than the Sahihain. As you'll find here in this particular narration, who's the one who narrated? Imam Ahmad. So he's also from the narrators of the Musnad, Imam Ahmad. But Muhammad ibn Ja'far is a very, very famous narrator. If you was to sit in the classes of Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, and you were going through Bukhari and Muslim and other than Bukhari and Muslim, you'll constantly hear Muhammad Ja'far's name. And a lot of asanid, and a lot of chains. Muhammad Ja'far is very, very known and famous in asanid. His nickname is known as Gundar. Gundar. Muhammad Ja'far is Gundar. Gundar. So if he was in class, he was able to study at the hands of the ulama, you'll remember this class where I told you about Muhammad ibn Ja'far. He was known by his name Gundar. Gundar. And he's in a lot of asanid. I don't know what's about you guys. He bites his nails, he bites his nails. Gundar. طيب. So it says in the narration, Imam Ahmad, then on the authority of who? Muhammad ibn Ja'far, Gundar. Al-Hudari al-Basri. And Auf here is not Auf ibn Malik, it's Auf ibn Abi Jamila. His name is Auf ibn Abi Jamila. Auf ibn Abi Jamila. Ibn Abi Jamila. Al-Abdi al-Basri. On the authority of Hayyan ibn al-Ala. قال حدثنا قطن ibn Qabisa. عن أبيه, his father Qabisa was a Sahabi. He says he heard from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's Qabisa ibn Mukhariq. He was a Sahabi. I was right. Now, Qabisa ibn Mukhariq was a Sahabi. He was a Sahabi. At any rate, the narration says that it says in al-iyafa wa tarq wa tira min al-jibt. It says the word al-iyafa. The word al-iyafa we'll talk about, and tarq and tira is from jibt. We said that the meaning of jibt can mean what, everyone? What can it mean? Hassan? Huh? It can be magic. It can also mean other things. We said that jibt can mean what? It could be fortune telling. It can mean all of that. So jibt also from the meaning of the word jibt, jim, ba, ta, the meaning of it is what? It can be magic. طيب. The Messenger of Allah was given some details of other types of magic. From them is what they call al-iyafa. 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 Al-iyafa basically is, just to sum it up, al-iyafa is a type of evil omen, or it's a bad omen. What they call tasha'um. Even though the word in the Arabic language, the word tasha'um is like being pessimistic. What they call yatasha'am. Fulan yatasha'am da'iman. Da'iman yatasha'am. He's always pessimistic. However, the word tasha'um here in this context is a derivative of the word shu'um. Shu'um, which means like a bad omen. Like a bad omen. Even though you'll find linguistically it does have a connection, to be pessimistic, because persons pessimistic, they always what? Finding the bad in everything. Everything's always negative and bad to the end of it, always pessimistic. طيب. However, here in this particular context, a tasha'um is based upon a belief that something of the creation has an effect. Or something from the creation has an effect. Here, the Messenger of Allah used the word al-iyafa. Al-iyafa just means what people used to use of birds. Of birds, depending either by their names or the noises they made or the direction they flew in. That they used to what? Deem or believe that certain evil things would take place as a result of it. Either depending on the type of noise they made or the names they might have or the direction they flew in. That's the meaning of what? Al-iyafa. The meaning of the word al-iyafa. They used to find an evil omen by either its voices or the type of noises they would make or the names or what direction they flew in. Notice that the Messenger of Allah here, everyone, described this as a being, as what everyone? A type of what? Magic. He says, min al-jibt. It's considered a type of magic. And we'll discuss the reason why in a minute, inshallah. So you'll find that during the time of the adat or the ways of Jahiliyyah from the past, this was something that was widespread amongst the Arab before the revelation descended upon the Prophet ﷺ. This was something that was famous amongst them. And you used to hear them talk about it in their poetry, in Jahiliyyah. They used to say certain things in their poetry. They'll say, afa ya'ifu, or afa, or this word, iyafa, meaning that what we would do if we would release the birds, and we would take them in certain ways and utilize them for certain things. And if certain events took place, we would say it based upon the birds and what? And how we use them or release them, or which way they flew in, or what type of noises they would make, or the names they would have. As a result of it, like we said, you will find that they would predict certain things, or they would even go back to their house, in their homes, because they say today will be an evil day, or it's going to be a gloomy day, or it's not going to be a productive day, or it's going to be very a lot of misfortune or calamities might take place today. And as a result of it, I'll stay in the house and lock my door. I'm not going out. And some of them used to have qawa'id that if they flew in, for example, in the front, they didn't know what to do. If it flew to the right, for example, if it flew to the left, they say it was a bad omen. To the right, good omen. If it's to the front, they didn't know what to do. They was in limbo. So they wouldn't really know what to do, or unless they would just release it again. So these are from the affairs of Jahiliyyah that the Prophet ﷺ came and nullified and eradicated and removed it from the minds of the people where these things or these affairs have any impact over anyone's life whatsoever. Rather, you'll find that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ was considered from what? From magic. We'll discuss the reason why. طيب. Also, it says in the narration the word tarq. The word tarq. The word tarq is when someone draws a line in the ground, or you'll find that some of Ahl Ilm say that the meaning of it is when the women cast stones or rocks on the ground. You're writing this. That the women they cast stones, or they either, I'll say it again, either they write lines on the ground, or they would throw stones on the ground. You'll find that they use women in this regard because in most cases, in the time of the Arab, those who used to indulge in these type of affairs were women. Not because men are excluded from the ruling, but the only reason why they would mention women is because that in their case, they was the one that used it the most. So the word tarq, as you know, it comes from the word tariq. or turuq, it means the ground or the road. Or do we know tariq means ground or road or pathway or what have you? So when you hear the word tarq, know for sure what comes to your mind is what? Something that's done with the ground. So a line that's drawn on the ground, and then we utilize it to predict certain events that would take place. Certain events that would take place. In another way, they will also cast stones on the ground. They'll throw it on the ground. They'll cast stones on the ground or throw it on the ground. All these were from the affairs of Jahiliyyah. And we talked about before, the illah or the reason why these affairs are all impermissible, because we know nobody knows the affairs of the unseen except Allah. And that's in affairs that's called ghaib mutlaq, as I talked about this earlier in class. As we know, the affairs of the unseen break down to two categories. Number one is what they call ghaib mutlaq, absolute, or that which is unseen, or if you want to say absolutely unseen or obscene, that is absolute. You have what they call ghaib mutlaq, and then you have what they call ghaib nisbi, the unseen which is relative, and you have the unseen which is absolute, meaning absolute in all cases. You writing that down? You have what they call ghaib nisbi. Ghaib meaning it's relative. We'll talk about that in a minute. The unseen which is relative. The unseen which is relative. Then you have ghaib mutlaq. The unseen which is absolute in all cases. It's absolute. What's the difference? طيب. The difference is ghaib nisbi, meaning in regards to certain people knowing it, but others do not. Certain people know it, others do not. طيب. Who are the people that knows the unseen? The prophets and the messengers, based upon the revelation that's been revealed to them. But notice that the messengers and the prophets, they have, based upon what Allah revealed to them, what they call ghaib nisbi, meaning in regards to the creation. They know it based upon what Allah revealed to them, but others from the creation do not know it. Is it clear what I'm saying? Ghaib nisbi is the unseen that's relative, meaning a certain people know it, whereas there's another group of people that do not. From them is the prophets and the messengers, based upon the revelation they received from Allah. Meaning by the way of revelation. They knew the unseen, meaning what is relative in regards to the creation. In regards to the creation, I'll say it again. In regards to the creation, they have what is called ghaib nisbi, meaning in regards to the creation. Relatively speaking, meaning what? In regards to the creation. The prophets and the messengers knew the unseen, but the others from the creation do not know the unseen. طيب. Then you have absolute what? Ghaib mutlaq. Mutlaq meaning the unseen which is absolute in all cases. And that's only for who, everyone? That's only for Allah to be good at. So the prophets and the messengers, no doubt, they were informed of both, if you want to say, in generally speaking. The prophets and the messengers were revealed, which is considered ghaib nisbi, meaning in regards to the creation, and ghaib mutlaq. Ghaib mutlaq of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to them, of course, and what Allah informed them. But ultimately the source, which is the source of revelation in which these affairs return back to, who is Allah, these affairs ultimately are only for Allah wa ta'ala. طيب. Anyone that claims these type of affairs, other than what we just mentioned, which goes outside of these details that we just said, all of it we know is disbelief. It's disbelief. It will nullify your Islam. It will nullify your Islam if you claim to have knowledge of the unseen. That is a naqid min nawaqid al-Islam. That is an affair that will nullify your Islam. Remove you, take you outside the fold. That's the reason why we said these affairs of what is considered, what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said is considered from jibt, from sihr, is what we just mentioned. Why? Number one, why we just said al-iyafa. Al-iyafa is considered from magic because you're trying to predict certain affairs taking place, which is baseless. It's not based upon anything. It's baseless. Al-iyafa, you're predicting. Oh, so this today, that means I'm not going to have a good day. All of it is connected with what, everyone? The illah, or the reason why it's impermissible, because of what, everyone? It's pertaining to claiming to have knowledge of the unseen. Is it clear what I'm saying? It's claiming to have knowledge of the unseen. Type, the second affair of writing the things on the ground. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to call the Adhan Amir? It came in about 7 minutes ago. I'm sorry. I think it came about 8 minutes ago. This one. He's one. I'm sorry. What was getting better? غيب نسبي and غيب مطلق. It's getting better. I had to teach you to do more than one push-up. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة وبعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. طيب. In regards to what we said, if you look at the narration, it says زجر الطير, as Auf ibn Abi Mukhariq al-Basri, Afwan, Auf ibn Abi Jamila, who's the Imam from the A'immat al-Tabi'een. We said, we are alhamdulillah, we didn't get to that yet. Al-Iyafa wa Tarq. Al-Iyafa is dealing with the birds. And the Tarq is dealing with the ground of what the people used to predict of certain events taking place based upon lines that were drawn on the ground or stones that were thrown on the ground. It doesn't matter if anyone utilizes something of the ground or the sand or the dirt trying to predict certain events from taking place in the whether it be in these days and times or in the future. It all goes back to the same reason of why it is impermissible. It is considered from magic because, like we said, it's claiming to have knowledge of the unseen. And those affairs are only and exclusively for Allah Ta'ala alone. And what was revealed to His prophets and messengers. As far as dreams, we'll talk about that later. dreams are something of a bushra, just to give a good tidings, inshallah. But it cannot be utilized as revelation. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Even a true dream can take place, but it cannot be utilized to predict something. It's just to give glad tidings, inshallah, that something good might happen, inshallah. But it's not utilized as what? As something to predict, for something to take place in one's life, whether it be a good and evil. It's not permissible. Even though it is from the branches of prophethood, which is left, which is a ru'yatun sadiqa, which is a what? A true dream. But like we talked about and said, based upon the qawa'id that we just said, the ghaib mutlaq and ghaib nisbi, based upon what we just gave of details, that will remove that removes everything of what they call kushufat or manamat or adwaq, of dreams or so-called visions. All those affairs are removed. Visions, dreams, what I might have seen while I was daydreaming, or vision I might have saw in my head, all those affairs are impermissible to be utilized to predict that something is going to take place in your life or on the earth. Generally or specifically. Generally meaning in this world, specifically meaning in your life. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Clear or not clear? Like we said, a ru'yatun sadiqah, or a true dream, is only for what? It's only to give a bushra, inshallah. To give us some type of glad tidings. That will be something good that might happen, inshallah. But it cannot be utilized as revelation to predict that something is going to take place. You cannot do that. Is it clear? Jayyid. Notice that if you look in your books, it says At-Tiyara. At-Tiyara min al-Jibt. At-Tiyara. The Prophet ﷺ said that all these affairs are from magic, and from them is what they call At-Tiyara. At-Tiyara. So a person might say, well, what's the difference between Iyafa? Your nails. The difference between At-Tiyara and the difference between al-iyafa. Seem like they're the same. Al-tiyara is something of an omen that the people believe of a bad omen due to the birds. Right? What's the difference between al-iyafa and al-tiyara? That's a person might ask. Al-iyafa, that's pertaining to the birds. It was something that during the times of Jahiliyyah, the Arab used to use for certain things that would take place in their lives based upon how they would release the birds, in what direction they would fly in, or what noise they would make, or the type of birds they were, meaning from the names they might have. They say that certain things would take place. So what's the difference between a tiyara? We would think that it's the same. The tiyara here, brothers and sisters, the difference in this, between this and the iyafa, is that a tiyara, the Prophet ﷺ used the word tiyara, but he meant by it something bigger than that. He used the example, but it is more comprehensive than just merely pertaining to the birds. Is it clear what I'm saying or not? I mean, verbally. طيب. We're talking about a tiyara, meaning the word tiyara, the word is using the word, of course, a bad omen with birds, but it's more comprehensive. Meaning, what a person will find of a bad omen, either for what is seen, heard, or of a person. I'm going to explain it, don't worry. You writing this down or not? Of what a person will find as a bad omen of what is seen or heard or a person. As during the times of Jahiliyyah, the Arab, and even in these days, the times that people believe of superstitions and things of that, and folklore and the myths and all these other things, same thing. Of something they would consider of a bad omen, either what is seen or heard or of a person. Or you can write this, or it being during a certain time or place. I'm going to explain all of it, don't worry. Something that is seen of a bad omen, of what we, for example, what everyone believes these days. I'm sure that all of us, before we were Muslim, some of us who weren't Muslim at one time, know about this. Of something of a bad omen that would take place either but something you seen, something you heard, or from a person, or from a time, or from a place. Just ponder on all the superstitions that we used to know about before we were Muslim. Think about it. If you get married on this particular day, Friday the 13th, that's a place, that's a time. If you get married under such and such on Fifth Avenue's bridge, it's known that your life is going to be in turmoil for 5 years straight. That's a place. Understand? You get it now? Oh, so-and-so who came up to me had one eye. That means I'm not going to have a good day today. That's a person. It's coming clear now, isn't it? And it's something that's seen or heard. I think that's clear. I looked in the mirror, it cracked. While I was looking at it, that means my life is going to be what? In turmoil. That's something you've seen, or I might have heard the barking of a certain dog or barking of a certain bird. That means such and such a place. Something that's bad is going to take place because of something what? Something I heard. Is it clear now? It's clear. Something of what to The Prophet ﷺ in the narration used the word tiyara, but he meant something more general than that. So iyafa in the first part of the narration is pertaining to just the what? The birds. However, when the Messenger of Allah used the word tiyara, even though the word means birds, because we know tuyur means birds, but however he intended something more general than that, more vast than that, more detailed. So you see the difference, everyone? So what a person has of what he finds of an evil omen, based upon what he hears, what he sees, or if it's a person, or based upon a time or place. Is it clear? All these are affairs of Jahiliyyah that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ came and he eradicated it, totally, erased it, saying these affairs are baseless. Rather, you'll find that the Messenger of Allah purposely married Aisha in a month and a time where everybody used to find a bad omen in order to what? Prove that it's batil. In order to prove it's false, where he married her in Shawwal. And that was a time during the Arab in which they used to find bad omens in. The Messenger of Allah married her during that time in order to what? Refute the falsehood they were upon that something of evil was going to take place if you got married in that particular time, which is in Shawwal. And then Aisha, even to the point where she used to brag over the rest of her wives. Who from amongst you, I was the most greatest of his wives, who from amongst you did better than what I did of marrying the Messenger of Allah in that particular month? I'll talk about the narration. It's going to come, inshallah. Don't worry about it. Taib. As we know, these affairs, in which is from the affairs of monotheism, and completing it. I got 10 more minutes. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ came, like we said, to totally eradicate these matters and render them null and void from the minds and the hearts and the belief of the people, due to the fact that they used to have a tremendous effect and impact upon society. You'll find that it used to mess up their day, of course, of when they carried out their daily affairs. It used to mess it up. Person was come out, he's sitting up, having a good day. Someone of a one eye just happened to pass by him. Oh, you know what? I'm not opening up my store today. I'm going home, sitting in the house. Change the whole course of their day based upon these type of baseless matters. You understand, everyone? So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ eradicated the affairs of Jahiliyyah. And these affairs were especially, which is connected, where he said they are part of what? Jibt, they're part of sihr. It's a part of magic. He's memorizing. It's a part of magic. It's a part of magic. If you look at the narration, if you look at your books, everyone, it says, an Auf. This is Auf ibn Malik. We said it's not Auf ibn Malik. It's Auf ibn Abi Jamila, who's from the Imam Tabi'een, Imam, Thiqah. His name was Auf ibn Abi Jamila, not Auf ibn Malik. Auf ibn Abi Jamila. Ibn Abi Jamila. Jamila. Auf ibn Abi Jamila. That he gave a little explanation of the word al-iyafa. So he explained it by saying, Al-Iyafa, he says, is Zajr al-Tayr, when the birds are either restrained or released. I think it says here restrained. How do they translate in your books? Jayyid. Let them fly or they're released. He says a tarq, he says is a line in which one makes upon the ground. Then it says al-jibt. What is the meaning of it? Al-Imam Hassan al-Basri, where he mentioned it, said that is ranna to shaitan. How do they translate in your books, everyone? Just out of curiosity. No, ranna to shaitan. Huh? The scream, that's how you translate it? Ranna, no doubt. Ranna to shaitan. As we know, the word ranna in the Arabic language is something that's used in the Arabic language. The word raneen, or ranna yarinnu, which means to ring. أنا سمعت رنين الجرس or سمعت رنين الهاتف. Say رنين الهاتف. سمعت رنين الهاتف. The ringing, phone ringing. Ranna. It's a ranna to shaitan. Who's Hassan here, everyone? Hassan who? Al-Basri. Jayyid. Hassan al-Basri mentioned it, said, ranna to shaitan. He said the isnad is jayyid. You'll find that Hassan al-Basri, when he mentioned this, that there was mention about the ranna to shaitan, that it took place 4 times, and what some of the tabi'een mentioned. From them, I want to talk about Baqiyya ibn Makhlad. I didn't talk about that right now. I wanted to talk about Baqiyya ibn Makhlad. That it's, anyway, Iblis, that he made a sound, what they call a ranna, 4 times. In which, matter of fact, I'm going to get into this right now. Just write this down for now. There was, from the narrators of hadith, his name was Baqiyya or Baqi. I don't know his name, Baqiyya. I don't think this is a khatab matba'i. Baqiyya ibn Makhlad. He's mashhoor bit-tadlis. Tadlis al-taswiyah in hadith. Oh, Baqiyya ibn Makhlad is a special case. But anyway, he's mashhoor from the most worst type of what they call tadlis in the isnad, which is called tadlis al-taswiyah. I don't talk about that. No, we'll talk about that later. That's in hadith. That's in science of hadith. We won't talk about that now. Anyway, Baqiyya ibn Makhlad said Iblis made 4 types of what they call rannat. Ranna. Of type of voice or sound. And here they translate it as a scream. But raneen, like I said, it means like a what? Like a ring. Raneen. Sounds like a ring. Raneen. Ranna, that he made some type of scream. He said 4 times. The shaitan screamed when he was cursed. He screamed one time when he was cursed. He screamed another time when he was exiled and cast out, and he was sent to this place called the dunya, this world that we're living in. As we know, Allah Ta'ala talked about Adam and Hawa, and he also cast out who? Iblis. فقال اهبطوا بعضكم لبعض عدو ولكم في الأرض مستقر ومتاع إلى حين. Right, everyone? طيب. So Allah Ta'ala cast them both out until they would both land on earth. Shaitan made that sound when he landed in the dunya. That's the number 2. Number 3 is when? Number 3 is, they say, is when the Messenger of Allah was born. And we do not know that date, so no one knows the date, exact date. And another time was when they say that the Fatihatul Kitaab was revealed. That's in here? Oh, that's what you're saying? Okay. So that was the 4 times you'll find that the shaitan, that he made it what? That he made this type of scream or this type of sound. The first time, the fourth is when the Fatihatul Kitab, means Surah Al-Fatiha, was revealed. So these are the times in which you'll find, like we said, Iblis, that he made these what they call rannat, with these type of screams or this type of what? Sot, or this type of voice. Even though we know the voice of shaitan is of other ways and other types, as we know. Right, everyone? The sot of shaitan is anything of batil, of anything of falsehood that opposes the haqq, is a voice of shaitan. Anything that's pertaining to what? polytheism or practice of magic, all these affairs of the voice of shaitan, from them is music. Music is also the sawt of shaitan. واستفزز من استطعت منهم بصوتك وأجلب عليهم بخيلك ورجلك وشاركهم في الأموال والأولاد وعدهم وما يعدهم الشيطان إلا غرورا. That's an ayah, Surah Al-Isra. Ibn Abbas said, واستفزز من استطعت منهم بصوتك. He says that Allah Ta'ala said to Iblis, of course, is واستفزز, meaning try to provoke them. Who you're able by your voice. Your father Ibn Abbas said the tafsir of it. He said that the meaning of it here, provoking them by your voice, meaning music, musical instruments, is also from the voice of shaitan. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? It's from the voice. So a lot of people think it's in the ayah, which is a Surah Al-Luqman. It's not. There's another ayah that talks about music. There's more than one. A lot of people think it's just Al-Luqman, Surah Al-Luqman. ومن الناس من يشتري لهو الحديث ليضل عن سبيل الله, to the end of the ayah, right? There's another ayah, it's Surah Al-Isra, talks about music. واستفزز من استطعت منهم بصوتك وأجلب عليهم بخيلك ورجلك وشاركهم في الأموال والأولاد وعدهم وما يعدهم الشيطان إلا غرورا. طيب. So these are the type of screams and voices of the shaitan, in which, as a result of it, I have to stop here. Huh? Whistling, I'll talk about that later. طيب, we got to stop here, inshallah. Huh? This is Surah Al-Luqman, Surah Al-Luqman, like the fifth. Notice the third ayah, second ayah, third ayah, Surah Al-Luqman. Surah Al-Luqman, Luqman, Surah Al-Luqman. I think it's the second or third ayah, Surah Al-Luqman. The other ayah was just Surah Al-Isra. I have to look it up. I don't know the number. Somebody look it up. وَاسْتَفْزِزْ مَنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ مِنْهُمْ. 64. Surah Al-Isra. Jazakallah khair. Huh? It's the first ayah, Surah Al-Luqman. It's the fourth or fifth, Surah Al-Luqman. It's the second. ارجع إليها, تأكد الله يحفظك. تفضل قربان. That's a bushra. It's a glad tidings. Inshallah, that's an indication that you're a truthful person. You should not kidab. If it happens, the dream happens. Like I told you, it's just to give glad tidings, inshallah, of a person who's truthful, what have you. But you cannot say that such and such is definitely going to happen to me, because you don't know until it happened. So you can't use the dream as any type of proof for anything. It's just inshallah, of giving glad tidings that maybe inshallah that definitely will happen. But you don't know until it actually happens. You can't use it for anything. But inshallah, it will be it's considered something of glad tidings, of giving something of good that inshallah that you will attain. But you can't use it for anything. Huh. What's it called again? David singing? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So that's the reason why they say music is permissible? Allah knows best. Anything dealing with the Bible, it is nothing in the Bible except that has to be checked. And there's nothing that could be the only affairs that could confirm is what we're practicing. That's it. As Islam confirms and puts into place everything that's either been taken out, removed by the Christians that they don't practice, or they do it incorrectly, or something they might have introduced, newly invented. Islam puts everything in its proper place. Ultimately, we believe after with the final revelation, after Allah Ta'ala laid down the hukm that music is impermissible, that goes against that particular, maybe that could have been fabricated in what they mentioned, or that it could have been, like we said, tampered with. And we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says that the Bible was tampered with by so many people. And it's still being tampered with. It's still being changed. So Allah knows best. Like I said, that's absolute falsehood. Tafadal. No, there wasn't. There was poetry that they used, and the type of poetry that they used did not involve something in it of affairs that opposed the religion, and it was something granted of victory, like we said, if it was something praise of the Prophet ﷺ, or that would raise or give some type of praise of Islam. That was it, no more. There was only one type of thing they used, was the duff. That's it. And the duff was only used by the women. It was used by the women, and it was only done on a specific occasion and a specific time. No more, no less. You can't use that as a justification for other instruments. It was only done for a specific time on a specific occasion. Follow. I can't hear you. Open your mouth. What's your ear hurt? You okay? How'd you do that? Oh, subhanAllah, may Allah kill you. SubhanAllah, you okay? So what you saying? That's it. You all right, Ahmed? Kids make me forget about my long day. You guys are funny. Tafadhal, Abdullah. Baqiya ibn Makhlad. I'll tell you about him later. Baqiya ibn Makhlad. I'll tell you about him later. He's a famous narrator of Tadlis. And he has the worst type of Tadlis, called Tadlis al-Taswiyah. Tafadhal. Baqiya ibn Makhlad. Baqiya ibn Makhlad. As a matter of fact, I'll mention it. Ibrahim ibn Muhammad ibn Muflih, that he mentioned in the tafsir of Baqiya ibn Makhlad. And I remember Uwais al-Tawil, a good friend of mine, he did some type of research paper on this particular narrator, Baqiya ibn Makhlad. That's why it just came to my mind. I remember he did a research paper on this narrator. And he's known for tadlis. He's from the worst type of tadlis. But he was thiqa though. But he just did a lot of tadlis. And I'll tell you about it later. But that's the reference. Ibrahim ibn Muhammad ibn Muflih. أن في تفسير بقية ibn Makhlad. بقية ibn Makhlad. Baqiyya ibn Makhlad. That he said Iblis, that he made four, for lack of better words, Ranna arba' rannat, that he screamed four screams in the four that we just mentioned. It's in, if you want to, if you want to reference it, also go back to Fath al-Majid, Abdul Mateen. Fath al-Majid. Also the great Imam Ibn Baz, rahimahullah, that he even mentioned about this. He talked about a little bit of things. I'll talk about it later, inshallah. Tafadal, Jamal. Gundar. Ghain, Noon, Dal, Ra. Gundar. If you were sitting in the durus of Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, I used to listen to his lessons, and I used to go to his lessons too. That name pops up a lot. No matter if you're in Bukhari, Muslim, he's from the famous narrators of narrators of hadith in the Sahihain and other than the Sahihain. And he's from the narrators of Sunan Abi Dawud and Muslim Imam Ahmed and other than that. His name constantly pops up. Muhammad bin Ja'far, and his name is Gundar al-Hudali, al-Basri. Famous narrator. Anything else? You have two who you should memorize. whose names is famous, who's like that. You have Muhammad ibn Ja'far, who's Gundar. And then you have Muhammad ibn Bashar, and his name is Bundar. 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 Muhammad ibn Ja'far is Gundar. And then you have Muhammad ibn Bashar. Muhammad ibn Bashar is Bundar. And you'll find that they always come together. There's a poetry for it. Don't worry about it right now. Inshallah, you guys go to get accepted to University of Medina, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I remember Muhammad ibn Ja'far, Muhammad ibn Bashar, Muhammad ibn Ja'far, Muhammad ibn Bashar. Remember those names. Those names is like, it just bring back so many memories by hearing that name. Just merely hearing it. Any other questions about the lesson? Huh? Anything? طيب إن شاء الله. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.